guys, it's Quana, and if you want a movie recommendation for a horror movie, then maybe I have one for you, but I hope you won't hate me for it. So I just watched Match on Tubi. I literally clicked on it because Tubi's actually been doing a halfway decent job of having some good horror movies, independent, lower budget, but really well acted. Namely, I'm thinking of Takeout, which I haven't done a review for yet, but I will do one shortly for that. And so I was looking for another one to watch. I've been trying to watch a horror movie a day for the month of October, and so I clicked on Match off of the strength of the thumbnail alone, which is a picture of Humberly Gonzalez, who starred in Ginny and Georgia as Sophie, holding up a literal match. And so I was thinking that this was going to be like Descent or Buried Alive or something along those lines. But then when I looked at the description basically said that she's playing this young woman who is looking to find love on a dating app, and when she goes to meet her match, things go from potentially good to bad to worse very quickly. And so I was like, this could be really interesting. The film starts with this really interesting montage of Humberly Gonzalez, who plays Paola, going on all of these dating apps and making these matches. And this is really the real life horror of it all, because these are all horrific dating situations with men who are misogynistic, lazy, grotesque, just want her for her body. At one point, she literally just gets sent a peen pic, and she's looking for a real life love connection. But it's a bad time in her life. Her father is getting ready to undergo a major surgery, and he needs her and her sister to be there for support. But she gets this match of this guy that she's been talking with for a little while. I believe his name is Henry, and it's a potential love connection. So she decides to go meet with him the night before her father's surgery, against her sister's warnings. When she shows up to his house, she instead meets his mother, Lucille, and from there, which is already a very weird situation, gets deadly. All I kept thinking as the movie progressed was it reminded me of The Hills Have Eyes, a movie that I saw one time in college and I have never watched again because I was completely grossed out. And so it says a lot about how far I've come in the horror genre that I was willing to stick through with this movie. It earns its TVMA rating full stop, but there's really only 2 scenes that I would caution viewers away from if they're super sensitive. There was a scene with a mother and a son that is heavily alluded to without actually showing the nudity, but you do see the ramifications of that moment. And then there's another scene, think mousetrap in sensitive places, and that will give you a hint for what that scene will bring to you. And I think if you can make it through those 2 moments in the film, the rest of the film works really well. And in fact, they could have just left one of those moments out and I think the film would still work. But it like ups the ante of like what we would think is horrifying and then ups it even more. And so for that, I definitely understand where the film was trying to go. Kind of insert it, cast it, or if the movie was kind of written for her to be this character. But I thought that the attention to detail with her Mexican heritage and having them sing the lullaby in Spanish and all of those little nods to that, I thought were really well done and really sold me on her character. Because to me, number one of one for any final girl is that we have to care that they survive. And so that was what locked me in and made me continue watching the film, because I wanted to see Paola survive. Even as I was screaming at her for doing dumb stuff like going on this date in the first place the night before her father was set to have surgery. But it's a fun film. There are some comedic moments, especially towards the end, where things get a little bit more laughable. And so it kind of teeters between like a horror comedy and like a serious horror film. And I think that tonal variation is what definitely sets it apart from being like in the lesser community worthy of a Tubi film. But the beginning part where it really creates that background and that history for the character and that story building and world building, I thought was really well done. It could have made this elevated into maybe a bigger budget popcorn matinee or something along those lines. So I thought that that was an interesting dynamic. If you're just looking for like a low risk, low effort like solid 90-minute fun little horror film. I definitely think that unless you're completely grossed out by some of those stuff, that you will have fun with this. I wouldn't give it a high rating. I definitely give it 2 stars, but it's like a fun 2 stars. It's like I would possibly watch it again, you know, and just laugh at some of the antics and things of that nature. But it did have a couple of scary moments that I thought were really well done, and the physical special effects I thought were really, really well done. The creature work in here I thought was really solid. You don't get a lot of that, so much CGI nowadays, that I was really applauding that aspect of the film as well. So yeah, I would definitely give this 2 stars. I would go into more detail, but I don't want to completely spoil everything for you guys. The ending, I do wish the ending had worked its way out a little bit differently, because it was a very bittersweet ending. But I do like a good horror film that leaves the door open for future possibilities. Not that I need this to be a spin-off or a sequel or a franchise or anything like that, but I like horror films that leave the possibility of that, and so that's enticing to me. Now, if you've seen Match, you already know what I'm talking about, and so you definitely have thoughts and opinions. So I want to know in the comments what you thought about the film. Did you have fun with it? Were you completely grossed out? And did you turn off the channel during one of those 2 moments? And if you haven't seen it, have I intrigued you enough to make you want to watch it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. Toodles.